Most people in their 20s fail at networking because they're too busy putting everybody on the pedestal and doubting themselves. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can stop fangirling over your CEOs, that influencer you want to be like, or that director who you really want to work with, and instead land the network of your dreams, because your network is your net worth.
But why should you listen to me?
Through networking, I've literally had my fashion brand feature at New York Fashion Week. I've had partnerships with Shopify headquarters. I've had founders that have been featured on Forbes 30 Under 30, and leaders across technology and media featured on my podcast. And not to mention that every single job I've ever landed has literally been through networking and because I've been able to tell my story right. This has to be the biggest thing that's killing any of your ability to network, and it's the fact that you keep putting people on the pedestal. When you go to conferences, when you go to networking events, whether it's at your university, whether it's at a conference that's happening in your favorite city or a nearby city, you're putting these directors, these recruiters on this big pedestal, like they're so much smarter than you, they're better than you, and quite frankly, that's just not true. At the end of the day, they're literally people, you know? You are going to these things and you're tired. They're probably also tired. They probably want a lunch break. They probably also have things on their schedule they haven't gotten done just yet, just like you haven't. And keeping this in mind as you go into these events and opportunities is so important, because it'll help you realize that instead of talking to them like you want to extract something out of them, talk to them like you're making a new friend. Like the way you would interact with someone when you're making friends with them is very different from the way you would interact if you're desperate for an opportunity, and people can snip the bullshit on you. So honestly, go up to them, mention something about, oh my God, I love what you're doing. I'm inspired by this, da da da. If it's something you're interested in, and then go and talk to them like they're a friend you're making. And this way, any natural humor that you have, any personality quirks that you have, they come out in the conversations you're having with these people, and they're probably gonna like you a lot more as opposed to you sounding very robotic. And honestly, this works in interviews as well. Like I remember one of the first jobs that I landed, it worked because I just made the interviews sound like a conversation. I would go into it and I would answer the questions they're asking me, but even at the ripe age of 20 years old, I made sure that when they asked me a question, I was like, oh yeah, what about you though? What do you think about this? And I made it something that was an exchange of information rather than it feeling like, oh, they're asking me questions and I'm answering, and it feels like so hostile. And that's something that they probably also don't want to deal with because they've been in interviews back to back to back. The same way the person at the conference you're talking to, they've been talking to people that want the job, they want the business opportunity, they want the investment if you're talking to a VC. So you talking to them like they literally have just one purpose is not gonna work.
So here's some. Hi. Hi. There's a line. I'm Devi Vishwakumar, and here's why Princeton needs a girl like me. I'm at the top of all of my classes, I'm president of 8 different clubs, and I've read every single book in the school library, including the dictionaries. So some would say I was born in the wrong decade.
Baby, is it? I'm Akshara, and I was actually talking to somebody else.
And that's what brings me to the next thing that you gotta also master when you're going to networking opportunities is, what is your story? Because at the end of the day, when you go out of your way to network with people or just like have conversations with them, you are in a way selling your story. They're gonna ask you, oh, tell me about yourself, or what are you up to? What brings you here? And that answer that you have in response to that question is going to be the impression that you have on them. Like whether you like it or not, that first impression does matter a lot. And you knowing yourself and understanding your story well will help you so much when someone asks you that question. And what your story is essentially the impact that you've made on the world so far and what's been the progression of that. So for me, for instance, I went to engineering school, then I worked in data science, then I went into consulting. I've also had companies along the way. Then I built my own fashion brand last year. I tell them, yeah, I love being at the intersection of tech and business, and I love product management. And they can see how this entire journey so far has made me feel really excited about building products that I really love. Because they also see the excitement on my face as I'm talking about this, and because I've maybe journaled about it, I've done the inner work to understand, okay, what do I actually want to do? What is that symbiosis of, okay, industry that I really like, pays a good wage, make sure that I'm able to get to my goals, and what is something else about me that actually adds the fact that I'm passionate about what I'm doing as well, because that does matter. And when you talk about this, I talk about it like it's your life story, and it's something that involved intention and choice, because they want to know that you're someone that is serious about your career, and that is the type of person that they're going to want to work with. If you're someone that doesn't really know what your story is just yet, and you're a little bit confused like how I was at one point, then I want you to list out all the things that you genuinely enjoy doing and just try different things, because it's actually impossible to know your story story or even know where you want to go if you haven't tried new things. I've tried so many different things in my career so far. I literally competed in New York Fashion Week. I did a data science job. I worked in technology consulting on the data strategy side of things and did product management as well there. And then I also tried to start a biotech company in college. I had an art business. I built a fashion company. I did like all these different things. I've literally done STEM mentoring to help high school students build their own companies. And I'm not saying this to show off, but more so to just tell you that throwing yourself at different opportunities and just saying yes to things that even spark a little bit of curiosity helps you understand what you like and what you don't like. And if you don't like something, then okay, stop doing it. And you can build your portfolio of work that you've had and pick out what are the experiences that I want to use to build my story and this narrative that I have as I'm pitching myself. So if you have more questions about this, make sure you comment below letting me know, because I can make an entire different video about how to actually pick your career path and what you like, what you don't like, because I've definitely had quite a pivot-filled path. So I've learned a lot from that, and I feel like I finally know what I want to do, and I'd love to share. This next one should be obvious, but it's actually not. And it's just that you gotta be honest, bro. If someone asks you how you're doing, stop trying to come up with the smartest answer and actually just answer it in a way that is relatable. Like if you just ate lunch, breakfast, you just went to your favorite taco place, then tell them that. Don't just try to come up with an answer that's like, oh yeah, I was working on my B2B sales pitch, or oh yeah, I was building the startup, da da da, which you can weave that into it later on because you want to share what you're up to. But like, be honest too, because you want to be a person. Two of my favorite answers when it comes to this, oh, how are you, or how's your morning going question is usually, oh, I had honey bunches notes for breakfast, or oh, I had toast, or oh, I went to go, I don't know, walk my cat. I used this in college a lot because I used to have cats back then. Or recently I've been like, oh, well, I just honestly got out of a meeting and I'm kind of tired. What about you? And that usually is something that's very relatable, but it's also honest to me, and that sparks a conversation, which gets them to talk about what they're up to and what they're doing. These type of answers break the ice that you want to break into to make sure that when you're talking about professional things, they're viewing you and listening to you with the mindset of, oh, I already like this person, and oh, they're also so smart. And on that note, the best way you can make sure you're following all the tips that I've mentioned so far in this video is to just go to networking events alone, because it's actually crazy. Like when I go to networking events with friends, I feel like I'm constantly looking after them, and not in like a mean way, but more in the sense like you go with someone, you want to make sure they're having a good time, etc. And you're not going to be as focused on your goal. So if you're still in the beginning stages of your career or you're trying to achieve a specific goal, then you want to make sure when you go to events, you go by yourself, because one, it's going to be exposure therapy for being able to handle conversations by yourself and face conversations that might be scary at first, but you're also going to be a lot more focused on the decisions you want to make. So maybe instead of lingering around on the outskirts of the room, you're going to go right to the center where the people you want to speak to are. However, if you're with someone that is really nervous and anxious about going into these rooms, they're more anxious than you are, then they're more likely to stay outside. And if you are someone that is even remotely a little bit of a people pleaser, or if you just don't want to leave your friend alone, which is very understandable, you're going to want to stay with them, which obviously will not get you to your goal. So when you have a networking event you want to go to and there's someone speaking on a panel you really want to talk to, my rule is that you just go alone. Because moving on to the next one, now it's time to talk about how you're going to own your accomplishments. And the thing I see so many women doing, as someone who's done it myself, is that you're underselling yourself. Yeah, you have your story, you know the things that you've done, but you might be missing on the little accomplishments that might be really big to some of the people you're going to be talking to and actually make a big difference. So I want you to make a list of every single thing you have accomplished before you go into a networking event. I literally have a book that's called My Wins, and I write in it almost every single week to recap all the accomplishments I've had so far in that week. And it reminds me that I'm capable, I'm doing things right. And especially before I go into a networking event, I think about what are the accomplishments that I want to keep in mind as I go into this and show myself I'm just as smart and capable as other people who are coming into here. And just because someone else seems more confident, seems like they've done a lot more, it's just that they have a different life than me. I also have my own accomplishments, and owning into the good things that I've done is going to be the thing that helps me stand out, as opposed to feeling like I'm competing with them. And then obviously, if you're at a networking event and you get mansplained, or like someone tries to put you down, or like anything of that sort, even with friendships, that's a quick sign that that person is not going to be the person you want to speak to or even build a connection with. So let those people go. I've had my fair share of people like that, and frankly, it's just not the one.
I have a stack of papers with my research over there, and if you try to take my name off of it, I will...
How would Davey put it?
I will go ham on your ass.
Once you've gotten in your reps of talking to people and knowing how to navigate situations, now it's time to narrow in on what opportunities are actually worth your time. So if you have a specific goal for the next couple months, you want to think about that before you go to any event. Unless that event specifically caters to that goal or they have someone on the panel that would be really good for you to speak to, don't just go because you feel like, oh, there's people in this industry, maybe I'll meet someone. Like, that's not the one. So for instance, for me nowadays, a lot of the reason I go to networking events is to make sure I get someone onto my podcast that I really connect with and really be good for my audience, you guys. So if there's someone on the panel that I feel like would be really good for it, then I'll make sure I go. But if it's more of like a generic event, then I'm less likely to go because I feel like it's not going to be worth the amount of energy that I'm putting into it. But remember, this is something you want to do after you're already comfortable with networking events, because I do think there's a period in the beginning where you should go to every one that you're even remotely interested in, because those reps do matter and it makes you so much better at talking to people. And that brings us to the end of this video, and I wanted to end it off with one quick note just to say that I know networking is really scary and intimidating sometimes, and it's like, oh my god, how do I talk to these people? How do I even speak about myself? I feel stupid, whatever. And maybe this connection doesn't feel like they're actually going to help me. You're playing the long game here, you know? When you're improving your life and you're wanting to go after these goals, you're making connections, a lot of the times networking isn't about how can I get a job from this person, how can I get a business opportunity from this person. It's about making sure that people around you are such that when you do need those things, you already have people that want to help you out. So when you go into situations, make sure you actually want to connect with that person, and you also want to show that you can help them, because you are also really smart, intelligent, and you have a lot to offer, more than you probably think you can at this point. But trust me, you do. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, make sure you send this video to a friend you feel like it can be really helpful for, and also let me know in the comments what you liked or what you didn't like. Okay, bye! I love you!